Hey guys, I want to go ahead and do another lesson here on simplifying rational expressions. And again, I'll be doing it in English and Spanish just for my Spanish viewers. But rational expressions are what we call just fractions. Expresiones racionales son las fracciones. Now let me give you an example here. 2 plus 3 divided by 2. You would never do this. You would never cross out the 2 here and say, oh, the answer is 3. No, you can't do that. You first have to do 2 plus 3 and then divide that by 2. Same thing here when you're dealing with algebraic expressions. You're not going to cancel out the x. You would never do this, okay, and then say the answer is 4. No, you don't do that. No se hace eso. Nunca se cancela esto. Aquí tendría que sumar el 2 o el 3 primero. So how do you simplify? So essentially what you're going to be doing, guys, because we're dealing with quadratics and factoring. Monomials factor out monomials, binomials with binomials. So what you want to do here is basically we're dealing with quadratics. What you want to do is you want to factor as much as possible and then you want to simplify it out. Okay, van a factorizar lo más posible lo que puedan y después van a simplificar. Now remember, you're not going to cross out the x squared, okay? You're not crossing out the 3's. You have to factor. Tienen que factorizar esto. So when you factor this guy right here, you're going to end up with x plus 3 times x plus 1. Okay? First, eso tiene que ser primero, factorizarlo. On the bottom, you got to factor that one as well. What do you get there? You're going to get x plus 3, and you're going to get x minus 1. Now you can cancel these out. This guy cancels out with this guy. Okay, and then what's your answer? Well, your answer is that you end up with x plus 1 over x minus 1. And that's it. Y así se queda. You do not cross out the x's, you do not cross out the 1's. That's it, because you don't know the value of x. So let's go ahead and do some of these examples, okay? What about this one? X minus 8 over x squared minus 10x plus 16. The one on the top stays x minus 8 just because you can't do anything else with it. What about the bottom? Okay, hopefully you can factor correctly. It will be x minus 8 times x minus 2. Okay, now that you have that, boom, boom, that cancels out. Now be careful. The answer is not x minus 2. What is left up here? ¿Qué está acá arriba? Okay, ¿qué está allá arriba? El 1. Porque esto se divide. This gets divided. So this becomes a 1. Esto se convierte en 1. So the x minus 2 is on the bottom. Notice that. El x menos 2 está abajo. Entonces se tiene que quedar abajo. So on the top, arriba, you have to put a 1. And that's your answer. What about the next one? 4x squared minus 4x. Remember, the first rule in factoring is, can you factor out a common number? La primera regla de factorización es, ¿pueden sacar algo en común? Claro que sí. Vamos a sacar el 4 y la x y me queda x menos 1. I'm going to factor out the 4 and the x and I'm left with x minus 1. Okay, and then on the bottom, the denominator, you're left with x minus 1. Now, I can simplify that out. Boom, boom. And then I'm left with 4x. Okay, let's keep going. Number 3, same thing. Factor this guy out. If you want, you can pause the video, see if you guys can do it yourselves. Okay. Factor at the top, factorizar lo de arriba, sería x más 6 y x menos 5, x plus 6, x minus 5. What about the bottom? Common factor, hay un factor en común. Le podemos quitar el 3, we can take out a 3, and we can also take out an x from each one. Le podemos sacar una x. Entonces, ¿qué me queda? What is left? X plus 6. Okay, and then now you can see x plus 6, x plus 6. What am I left with? You're left with x minus 5 over 3x. All right, guys? So hopefully you guys can see the pattern, what we're doing. A lot of students just call it factoring, canceling, factor, cancel, factor, cancel. Let's go ahead and see if we can do a few more examples that get a little bit more challenging. Now here, right, we have still are going to factor, but a little bit more complex, right? What about this one here? On the top, what does that factor into? You should get 3x, I believe is minus 1. And then you have x, what is that, plus 2. Okay, so you get 3x squared. 3 times 2 is 6x, minus 1 is the 5x, and then negative 1 times 2. All right, so that's the factor here. What about the bottom? You should get 7x, let's see, an x, and then you want a 12. So it looks like we're going to be doing, what was that, 1 and 4. Let's see. And sometimes it's kind of hard. Let's see here. I'm going to just do it here. 7x, 1x. Let's see. If I put a 2 here, that would be 14. Oh, yeah, 2 and 2. 2 and 2. So one of these has to be negative, so it'll be negative here. So this will give me 7x times 2 is 14. X times negative 2 is negative 2x, and that's going to give me the 12x that I want. So here, this becomes 7x minus 2, and then x plus 2. Okay, nice. And then, same thing. Boom, boom, cancels out, and you're done. So my factor is 3x minus 1 over 7x minus 2. Okay. Now some of these can get a little bit more difficult, but you get the gist of it. Let's do number 5. Vamos a hacer el número 5. Okay, todo lo que estamos haciendo es factorizando. Now remember, the first rule in factoring, is there a common number? La primera regla de factorización, ¿hay un número en común? 3, 21, and 90. Yes, you can take out a 3 first. Vamos a sacarle el 3. So you're left with a squared plus 7a minus, what is that, 30? There you go. All right, you can't do that on the bottom. No se puede hacer eso abajo. But you see 3, 31, and 10. 31 is a prime number. So this guy, I'm just going to leave it. Lo voy a dejar así. 3a squared plus 31a plus 10. So now I'm going to start factoring. Now remember, the 3 is on the outside. El 3 está afuera. Okay, now what about this guy? Factors of negative 30, that'll give me 7. Let's see. What can I use? 10 and 3, right? 10 and 3. So a, and c. So I should get plus 10 and minus 3. Okay? So 10 minus 3 will give me the 7 that I need, and 10 times negative 3 will give me the negative 30. Okay? 10 menos 3 me da el 7, y 10 por negativo 3 me da el menos 30. Now I got to factor this guy out. And if you can see it, okay, we're going to do 3a times a, and we're going to use 10 and 1. Vamos a usar el 10 y el 1. 3 times 10 is 30a. A times 1 is 1a, and that gives you the 31a that we want. So this guy's going to be 3a plus 1 and a plus 10. Okay? And remember, your factors are these. Estos son los factores. Aquí, aquí. So now you can see we can a plus 10 factors out, and that's it. The 3 is a monomial. This is together. This is a binomial. You cannot cancel out the 3's, guys. Este es un monomio, este es un binomio. No se puede cancelar el 3 y el 3. Okay? El monomio con el monomio, el binomio con el binomio. Okay? So, what's my answer? ¿Cuál es mi respuesta? La respuesta final simplificada va a ser 3. A menos 3, the factor will be 3 times a minus 3. And then on the denominator, you're going to put 3a plus 1. Your professor is going to expect you just to leave it like this, simplified completely. Do not cross out these 3's, okay, because this is a binomial, this is a monomial. They're totally different. Let's keep going, number 6. Nice. Well, how do you factor this? Notice we have 4 terms, don't we? So this is a good candidate for factor by grouping. Factor by grouping. If you don't know, I have another video on factor by grouping. You guys can check it out. But essentially what we're going to do es factorizando por grupo. Okay? Factorizando por grupo. And I might have to do it here on this side. So let me rewrite it. Lo voy a escribir de nuevo. Ax minus ay. And that's going to be grouped plus bx minus by. And that's going to be grouped. So we're going to factor out this one first. What's common here? ¿Qué hay en común? Well, we can just factor out the a. What about here? What's in common? ¿Qué es lo común? Just the b, nomás la b. Okay, so what's going to factor out? ¿Qué va a ser el factor? Va a ser a. Y después x menos y. Okay, porque las a se simplifican. The a's are simplified out. Plus, la b sale afuera. And then you're left with x minus y. And you notice the essence of factor by grouping, you want these guys to be together. Siempre queremos que estos sean iguales. Entonces vamos a juntar este y este. So we're going to put them together. So the a plus b go together, like so, and then the x minus y. And remember, you only need one of them. I know they're the same and it's not squared, but you just need one of them. Because when you distribute this, you're going to end up with all of this term right here, this expression. Okay? Entonces, esa es la primera, la de arriba. Ahora vamos a hacer la de abajo. Now we're going to do the top. So same thing, ax minus ay. We're going to group that one. And then we have minus bx plus by. And if you remember, si se acuerdan, when you see that negative right there, you also want to include that we're going to actually be factoring out that negative to help us out. Okay, vamos a factorizar esa. Vamos acá también. What's in common? ¿Qué hay en común? The a is in common. What about over here? You also have a b, but because of that negative, I want to factor out that negative as well. Okay, so that you want to factor out the negative for both. So now what happens? Well, you factor out that a, you're left with x minus y. Take out that negative b, so you're left with the negative b and the negative b simplify out. The b cancels out, right? B divided by negative b, that becomes a negative y. Okay, and you see how that's essential because we want these to be the same. So now we're going to put these together and these together. So that ends up being a minus b times x minus y. And now that we factored them out, these guys, sorry about that, guys. These guys factor out. Okay, and what's my answer? You can see it, a plus b over a minus b. And that's it. Eso es todo. This is my answer. Okay? Do not cross out the a's, do not cross out the b's, and think the answer is -1. Okay? No vayan a cancelar la a y la b, creyendo que es -1. This is the final answer. This is what your professor is going to expect you to have. All right, what about number 7? Number 7 is it's a good one, level 3 problem that I call, but it's a little bit tricky. Now, if you remember, this guy here is a difference of squares. Este es una diferencia de cuadrados, difference of squares. This, hopefully you remember how to factor it, is going to give you x minus 1 and x plus 1, x menos 1 y x más 1. Okay, now, on the bottom, you just have 1 minus x. And a lot of students think, oh, well, I can cancel these out. No, you can't. No se pueden cancelar. Okay, you can't cancel them out because subtraction is not commutative. Okay, resta no es conmutativa. For example, if I tell you, well, what's 3 minus 2? Well, that's 1. Well, what's 2 minus 3? Well, that's -1. That's not the same thing. No son iguales. Okay, but what can you do? Watch what I'm going to do here. Vean lo que voy a hacer aquí. Watch what I'm going to do. I'm going to switch them around. Los voy a cambiar de orden. So I'm going to put -x plus 1. You see how I did that? ¿Ven cómo hice eso? Nomás puse la x primero y el 1 después. El negativo está con la x, the negative with the x, okay? Now, watch what I do. What I'm going to do is I'm going to factor out a negative. Lo que voy a hacer es factorizar el negativo. Negativo 1, negativo 1, okay? Ahora, ¿qué pasa cuando hago eso? What happens when I do that? The negative goes outside, and then I do the math. Negative divided by negative is a positive. 1 divided by -1 is -1. You see that? Ahora, este es igual que este. So now what do I have? Well, I have x minus 1 times x plus 1. On the top, on the bottom, I have negative of x minus 1. Now I can simplify it out. Ahora se puede simplificar. Esto y esto se cancela. Okay, now what happens with the negative? ¿Qué le pasa con el negativo? We can just bring it to the top. Lo podemos subir arriba. Entonces vamos a tener negativo y pues x más 1. And that's my answer. Yes, es mi resultado. All right, guys, so I hope that helped. And let me know if you have any questions. I'll do some more examples. Thank you.